Signed for the Westby team, and Chuck Giacchetto lives in the Holly Springs, Canton area, and he just wanted me close to the shop, and he knew a guy that was like, renting out a house, so I started renting the house that was less than a like mile away from the Westby shop, which kind of Chuck was the Westby shop per se, working on the motorbikes there. So yeah, that's how I landed up over here. And then, I knew Miles Thornton from the racetrack. He
Oh
lives
yeah.
kind of close by. And then, hung out with him. He knew a couple of guys who lived close to me, and then started making friends, like, outside of the racing scene. And then, yeah, now I've got a really cool group of friends that we go play golf, we do pit bike riding, and you know what I mean? So kind of
Mm.
settled in nicely. But yeah, I mean, it's a very strange place for a foreigner to come. You always think of, going to Texas or California where the motorbike scene is. But yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with where I live now. I got a cool group of friends. Like I was saying, we actually got a pit bike ride tomorrow night planned. You know what I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
Like you had
hang out.
like a mini track, or you could just go in the woods?
Yeah, go behind one of the guys' houses. He has a couple turns set up there, and I think like maybe 5, 6, 7 of us rock up and
That's
just
sick.
ride some pit bikes and bang some handlebars and just
Nice.
hang out, man.
Yeah, Peter. We won't. I'm not gonna put that on social.
What's that though?
As a Peter,
Yeah.
Don't let
the
the
team
boss
owner,
know.
the boss
Yeah.
man.
Show
So
up banged up.
was Westby your first paid getting paid
Yes.
ride?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was that like? Right? How old were you? You must have been 20.
23, 24 maybe.
What was that? What was that feeling? Getting like, how did that come about? Right? Because we talk about it with everybody, like their first getting paid contract. What's that like? The
Yeah.
feeling, the relief, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I did the last 3 rounds of the 2016 season for them, and they kind of said, like, we want you to ride full time for us in the championship in 17. And at that stage, I was like, man, I don't have a job, I don't have any money, so if you want me to come over here, you have to pay me a salary. Yeah, I mean, so I used the contingency money I got from the end of the 16 season. I had about $5,000 in the bank and rocked up over here, and yeah, fortunately, they started paying me a small salary then, but came over here with a single suitcase, $5,000 in the bank, and I was like, this shit had better work, or I'm going back home. So fortunately, I was treated extremely well over there, and yeah, I just progressed as the years went on.
When you came over, did you feel any added pressure because of the situation with that was obviously very fresh at the time with Dane passing and whatnot? Did that add another layer that you weren't used to racing because it was like a family thing and you were stepping into this, interesting kind of role?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that it added pressure to it. I've always had pressure on my shoulders. You know what I mean? Like I said, my parents paid for my racing. I had people counting on me. So I know that I was kind of representing Dane. At that point, but it doesn't change anything that happens to me on the track. Once
Mm.
the visor's down, you kind of lose that sense of what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for. You just go out there and just ride as hard as you can. But I've always said pressure is a privilege to have. You know what I mean? Fortunately, we are, sportsmen, and we have that added pressure, and sometimes it feels like the whole world is crashing down on you, but it's a privilege to have, really. Very few people get to actually have that feeling.
Have you always had that mindset, or is it something you've kind of developed or learned, or have you gone through like mental training per se?
No, I mean, it's just kind of learned over the years. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, I used to maybe let the anger and everything get the best of me when I felt that things weren't going the way that they should have. But over the years, you kind of develop skills and tricks and how to handle things, and just realize how lucky we are. You know what I mean? Like I used to always worry about, if this happens, I'm losing my ride, and this happens, and this guy screwed me over, and I should have got this and that. But at the end of the day, like, you know, the graveyard is full of guys who thought that they had more time. So I'm just privileged with every second that we get here racing.
That's such a great mentality to have. Just going back, did you expect? I mean, obviously you said that, hey, you need to have a salary and whatnot to be over here, but I remember me getting my first salary ride. It almost doesn't feel real until like that first kind of check comes through.
Yeah.
Even like with the
Yeah.
factory Harley deal, like I was like, dude, there's no way this is really real. Like
Yeah,
even
yeah.
though like it was real, it's just like you just kind of waiting for it to maybe not happen.
Yeah.
Did it feel like that at all? Because it's like your first time, like gonna actually get money to race a motorcycle and do like what you love.
No, I mean, like from when I met, Trig and the team, I understood that they were very honorable people. You know what I mean? So I kind of knew once they said they were going to do something, we had the contract signed, it was going to actually happen. You know what I mean? But that first check that comes through, walking into the bank, cashing it as it slips in, you've got this much money coming through. You get like, woo, like, this is actually happening, man. Like, come on, let's go. Dude. Yeah, it's crazy.